morning. I hope you're having a good morning and you had a good night. Good morning, JK. Good morning, Martha. I hope you guys are doing well. Yeah, so today, I want us to talk about the decision. What car is good for you? Because there are two things. Good morning, Patrick. So there are two things when we are buying cars, and I think these are the two things that disturb us normally. Because for the past 2 days, 3 days, 2 days, I think, yeah, I've been trying to help people buy cars, and I've realized there are two major things that disturb us when we're buying cars. So I want us to talk about that. Yeah. Hey, you guys, how are you? You know, one thing I've realized, finding a car that has functioning AC in Kampala is another tug of war. So right now, when we're checking cars, instead of trying to find a car that has functioning AC, we try to find a car that has a pump that switches on, the AC pump. Then at least we know at least the AC pump is okay. Now what we are going to be looking for is any leakage, and by God's grace, if the car doesn't have any leakage in the AC system, then you refill. Then your cost goes down a lot. But then again, you need to check are the electronics of the AC system fine, because you may find that it has a blown fuse, or some wires don't get to where they have to get. Yeah, but of course now when you're buying a car, it also depends on which number plate you find it. The newer the number plate, the higher the chances are that that everything kind of is in the right place. Yeah, but now normally we don't really focus on, okay, if the AC works very well, because like when I bought my car, the AC wasn't working, but after refilling the gas, we actually found that it was just a fuse that had blown. So the moment we replaced the fuse, the AC was ice cold, and it has been ice cold for a year. I've never had to maintain anything. Yeah, so but for the cars that we are looking at right now, the cars that are almost bond new, like if you bought a car that was like 20 million and above, the rest of them we don't look at is the AC functioning. Hey, good morning, Seth. We look at the fact that the AC pump actually switches on. If the AC pump switches on, you're getting a car that is in a considerably good condition. Look at these accidents. What did he hit? And it's a new number plate. I find that the reason why these guys actually get accidents, you'll find that accident happened because someone was overtaking, and they were overtaking, and someone else was overtaking behind them, and they had to stop because probably there was a trailer in front of them, and then there was no way for them to get into the line again, and then the person also behind him could not stop. So yeah, so I think the biggest challenge we have in Uganda is we have drivers that have poor mathematics. They just want to overtake. You find someone overtaking in a corner, you get it, but they are not even going anywhere important. Someone going to the village and they are overtaking, you get, in a corner. Now in the village, what are you going to get in the village that is making you overtake? You find someone going home and they are overtaking. You get, if someone were going to work, probably they have a meeting that they're late for, or maybe they run the meeting, and probably, but even then, don't overtake in a corner. You need to have some mathematics. You need to have some mathematics. People just want to blame others. They want to blame Satan, Bustani, Bismanya, because yet it's just poor mathematics. You get. So yeah, today we are going to be talking about the best way for us to actually choose a car that is best for us, and Good morning, Henry. And what do we look for? What do we look at to select a car that is best for us? So in the past, I normally didn't ask people. Good morning, Ivan. I didn't ask people. I didn't ask people what they did, like what work are you into. But I find that these days it's important for me to know what work you do. It's also important for me to know how often are you going to be driving this car, what are you going to be using this car for. Why? Because these are some of the things that you have to have in mind as you buy a car. You get, for example, I find that a business person that continuously is required to have capital on them all the time. You probably have salaries to pay. Should always focus on saving money. I mean, especially if you're not the kind of person that is high net worth. You should always focus on making sure that you have money remaining on you at all times. You get it? But if I don't know that in my background, I might help you make the wrong decision of a car. You get? Yeah, I don't want to be one of the reasons why you make the wrong decision. So nowadays I make sure to ask someone, and what are you going to be using the car for? And then they will definitely tell me, and then I help them. Good morning, Simon. Yeah. And then I'll help them make the right decision. I find that you need to stop human trafficking. I hope you see that. Yeah. And you know, border guys are very lucky now. They are getting free reflector jackets. See, I remember when the government brought this inspection thing. Those guys that have warehouses on every highway by Itabatia. I think it's a Swedish company. Good morning, Kenneth. Yeah, I think it's a Swedish company that got the contract and they built warehouses. I remember the government said the deadline is in 3 months, and I almost took my car for inspection. I know guys that took their cars for inspection. I think they paid 120,000 or 150 to get their cars inspected, and soon the thing died. I think it was a money minting scheme, eh? Yeah. So now I'm wondering who brought these reflector jackets on wholesale from probably Dubai or wherever they buy them from, to bring it as a law on the road for border guys. Okay, basically all motorcycle riders. Yeah. So we're going to be talking about what you have to look at before you buy a car, to consider for yourself. You know, one thing I've realized that sometimes when you're doing things, you really need to be selfish, but you also need to be wise. You be selfish, but be wise. Why? Whether you like it or not, you're going to be seated in this car for a very long time. You, inside. Yesterday we were in the market and we were looking at sport rims, what is important. And my mechanic just was telling this person, because I was telling them what sport rims are nicer, and then okay, everyone didn't agree with me, and then my mechanic was telling this guy, you leave Arthur alone. He had sport rims on his car, he removed them and put ordinary rims. You get? And then I realized that what is important for me is not necessarily important for everyone else, because for me the importance is that my car gets me from point A to point B without breaking down, taking as little fuel as possible. And for me, that's what is important. Normally, yes, a car that looks nice is good, but it's not as important to me. You get? As long as the car is clean, and as long as the car can do business, and it gets me from point A to B, to me, I would not care. You see how that Subaru has those muffler decorations there on the bumper. Me, I would necessarily not care about it. I don't really care whether it looks really nice. If it can't get me from point A to B, no way. You get? So and normally I also focus on making sure I have money on me after buying that car, because I know there is no car you're going to buy that is perfect. Even if it looks like heaven, it will not be perfect. You'll find that you have to fix some things. Some things come up. So normally when I'm helping people buy cars, I kind of focus on the same things, and I tell them, okay, I think if you wanted to buy a car at 7 million, let's buy a car at 6 million, and you keep a 1 million for the things that Arthur, getting a good car is chance. Yesterday I went to Google, yesterday I went to Google and I found two Ipsams, the 1998 at 6 million UAP. My God, the interior killed me. The chairs were torn, and after I saw a 2000 Ipsam at 4M, and it was very good. Now, what you saw as very good was you saw the interior and the body, okay? But with the Ipsam, you have to look at the engine as well. You have to look at the gearbox as well. Then you have to look at the fact that the car doesn't have any accident history, because some people fix those cars up very well even after accidents, and in pictures it will look nice. And you need to understand that pictures actually lie. If I took a picture with my Samsung, my God, you can get to the car and think, what happened? So pictures actually lie. And just know that sometimes someone might want to sell to you a car expensively because it has a very good engine and a good gearbox, and let's say it has all 4 new tires, and it has no police receipts, you get it, and it has a new logbook. All those things are considered, and then you find someone selling to you a 2000 model Ipsam, very cheap, 4 million. It has no tires, it has accident history, the gearbox is not okay, it has police receipts of about 750. So all those things need to be considered when you're buying a car. So sometimes you may find that somebody is selling the Ipsam at 4 million, but when you get to him, he tells you, but it has police receipts of 1.5. And then you look at the car, the engine is not so healthy. So that means you'll have to spend about 500,000 repairing the engine. You get, so add it to the 1 million of police receipts, that 1.5 plus the 4 million, that's already 5.5. Then you find that it has accident history. Then you find that it has no tires. Then you find that it's all logbook. So adding it up, you'll find that you end up at 8 million. Yet the person that bought the other Ipsam with the bad interior at let's say 5 million has used about 500,000 to repair the interior. It has new tires, it has a new logbook, the body has no accident history. You get what I'm saying? So you find that the person that bought an expensive 1998 model is actually saving. But normally, like I said, each of us has a different, looks at different things when they're buying a car. That's why I'm saying you have to think what is important to you. And that's why normally now I end up asking you, what do you do for a living? And what is important for you? Because I don't want to imagine that what is important for me is actually important for you. You get? Because I've realized, for example, that a lot of people I've realized that a lot of people how good is the interior. You get? Most people focus on how good is the interior, and I've also realized that the moment someone finds a car that has a good interior, sometimes they lose their senses, and they almost want to buy there and then. You get it? And yes, cars are good. You just imagine this car is too good. You get it? But I want you to also think, not just think. I want you to realize that that sometimes this car is not as good as you deem it to be. You know, we guys have this that you find a chick and she's too hot, and you get all the hots for her. So it's the same thing with cars. This car is too good. So if it's too good, someone else is selling it. Do you think it's an accident that someone else is actually selling this very good car? No. The fact that someone is actually selling this car means nabo bwongo abasajja ba boda. Nana, get off your brother. Nabo bwongo bw'omusajja wa boda mubulabye. Everyone stops naye nga ye awulira afata somirira. So it's important to know what is good for you, yeah, because what is good for you will not necessarily be good for me, and what is good for me may not necessarily be good for you. So right now, one of the things we actually consider will be what do you focus on when you're buying. But sometimes I actually burst the bubble. You will come to me and say, me, good morning, Nathan. Sometimes you'll come to me and say, Arthur, me, I want a very good body. But a good body is made. So we can find a car that doesn't have a very good body, and I tell you, do you know what? Let's just buy this car and make the body as good as you want it. Because it's very possible. You find someone buys a car. You know, I was telling one of my guys 2 days ago. I was telling one of my guys 2 days ago. I was telling one of my guys yesterday that because we saw two cars. One had a very good body. It was repaired though, and it had a lot of filler, and it even had some cracks in it. But then we saw another one, the very same model. Of course, the one that had a very well made body, it had new tires, all 4 new tires, very well made body, very clean interior. Okay, and even the engine was washed. You know what sometimes these car sellers do. I've been telling you guys, they know how to wash. Even the rims were sprayed. So basically, if you're the kind of person that just wants to buy and drive, it would be a good car. But the price was way high. So I told this guy, because we saw the same model of a car somewhere, and it needed work on the body. We needed to buy tires, and of course the owner wasn't the kind of person that washes the car very well. So we needed to also like take it apart interior wise and wash everything, wash the seats, wash the carpet and all that. And yeah, and for me it made sense to buy the other car and work on it, you get. But as well I was considering the fact that the buyer, who is not me, wanted to buy and drive immediately. But then I made sure to make him understand what was wrong with this particular car that looked almost new. And of course it had the fact that yes, morning, so it had the fact that the filler was almost breaking on the doors. The filler was breaking on the matama. You get matama bagaita batya mu luzungu. I know it's not cheeks because it's a car. So those things were cracking. It had a lot of filler, and yet the car that wasn't worked on could be sprayed without getting all that filler on it. And yet you didn't really need to even spray that car. Personally, I would drive it for like 2 years without spraying it. And of course you would buy tires, and then you would clean the interior, and then you would have it up to standard, you get. And then I think, yeah, it had running third party. So sometimes what is important to you, what is important to you doesn't really necessarily mean it's important. Sometimes we focus on things that we want, yet we should be actually focusing on something else. I used to be the kind of person that wanted to buy a car ngateri mu yadda corner. You get ngateri mu yadda corner. But normally okujjamu obwo obukoona is not really that expensive. Someone can actually go and buy used shock absorbers, but that have some pressure. Put the shock absorbers in the car. Okay, he will put those used shock absorbers in the car, and never steady. and yet you come to Arthur's car which doesn't have very steady shock absorbers. Na ye ngaj honest. So the other shock absorbers is enkadde zidi repaired because bazikoramu, and they can repair every shock absorber as long as it's not too bad at 20k. So that repaired shock absorber, you can drive it for like 2 months and kaput. You get. So if you bought a car that had bad shock absorbers and bought your own shock absorbers, you would drive them for a year or 2 years without you get, but then you put them yourself. And then some of those things that make the car having Uganda is bushes. The biggest bush in the front of the car, for example, for my car is 30,000. The rest of the bushes are between 5 to 10k. And babunyigamu, you get, you can spend about 80,000 to work on those bushes in front. You better? You can repair the bushes in front for about 80, sometimes even less. And then in the back, some cars don't even have bushes. My car has bushes in the back that will cost you about 60,000 because they are big. 30,000, and they take a very long time without breaking down. So you'll find that even a car that has bushes behind, they are not broken down. So some of these things, yes, they will lead you to repair, but some of them you don't really need to go to the garage. Like sometimes, I'll give you an example. Someone will have these car sellers are very sharp. They go, for example, to the village. You see, I bought my car from the village, deep in Kalungu. He goes, brings the car. They know what is important to you buyers. For example, they know that you guys want a clean interior. So he will clean the interior. He will wash it. Okay? He will wash it, make it shiny. They know that you guys don't like cars that have those knocking sounds. He will fix the bushes down there. So you come sit in the car, you look at it, it's nice. Then you drive over the humps and tell him you're at corner. And a car that he bought 3 million used about an extra 300,000 to clean it up and work on those things, the baby Kubagana. He will tell you, I want 6.5. Remember, he bought it like 3 million, put an extra 500,000 because for them they are willing to travel. You'll find that right now we are looking for a car of 6 million. We can get the same car at about 4.5 in Gulu. But the final buyer is not willing to go to Gulu. You guys are not willing to invest money. Me, when I was going to buy this car, I put around 80,000 in the same Corolla, and then we went to find this car. And then when we were coming back, I put fuel in this car as well. You get, some people are not willing to invest that kind of money. I also paid brokers. You get, but some people are not willing to invest that money. So you want to buy from within town. So what I will do as Arthur, it's exactly what I told you guys I'm going to do. I'm going to go to up country, buy my car at 3 million, come fix it up a little and sell it to you guys at 5 million. It will be a good car. What I was willing to do was actually travel up country, which you guys are not willing to do. So that's what car sellers do. He goes up country, buys a car, comes, makes sure that the things that are important to you, because they know what is important to you. He fixes it up and he doubles the price. That's what I've told you. So sometimes what is important to you doesn't necessarily make it like the standard of what is okay. So sometimes, yes, however much you want a clean interior and sometimes you can clean the interior yourself. I know it's a lot of work. Sometimes you'll have to, no, you keep it. I'm going to send you more for Anne. So I send you the balance for Anne. So sometimes you have to understand that these things sometimes, yes, for example, to clean the interior of a car, if it's very dirty, they will have to put the seats out, they put the carpet out, which is very good for you because then you have a clean start. And they will charge you about 30 to 50,000. You get, and then you'll have to give up the car for today and probably even tomorrow if there is the sun. And if you use these modern cleaners in like Ntinda who have hoovers that can dry these things, that can dry the things, the seats and the carpets quickly, then probably you give it to them in the morning and in the evening you pick the car. Now most people are not willing to put in that work, put in the time. That's why they end up going to these used car bonds where those guys actually put in the time, because that time that guy doesn't put the car on the market until he doesn't put the car on the market until he has cleaned it, which means he buys the car from, for example, up country, invests a week of cleaning and fixing those small things that I've been talking about, and then he brings it to the market and says, okay, that's how much. Yeah, so someone is saying, Arthur, okay, this was Martha. Good morning, Jose. What's your advice about buying Paso or Vitz? What's better? Vitz is better, but even the Vitz, you make sure you buy 1.3cc. But even a Paso, you can buy a 1.3cc. It will also be good, but the Vitz is definitely better. The Paso, you know what these guys are doing? These guys are improving, fast improving. What should I say? They're improving the quality. Let's say they're improving fuel consumption. First of all, they are also improving environmental friendliness of cars, and by doing that, they're actually compromising what we call quality, durability of the cars. So you need to understand that yes, new cars are good, and I encourage you to buy new cars, but they are not as durable as the old cars. So if you find the Spacio new model, it's not as durable as the Spacio old model. You get what I'm saying? The Spacio old model will definitely be more durable, but the Spacio new model is more fuel efficient, which we all want. Okay, it looks better, which we all want. It has a better interior, which you all want. You get it? In the end, it might actually be easier to maintain, which we all want. So you need to understand that that's how the things work. So you find that the Land Rover from 1999 is stronger than the Land Rover in 2022. Even the Land Cruisers, the old Land Cruisers are way more durable than the Land Cruisers that come currently, but they are newer. Okay, they consume less fuel. You'll find that they're easier to even maintain. You find that they have less parts on the engine, less parts under there, so they're easier to maintain. So the Vitz is definitely better, but even with the Vitz, I normally tell you guys, buy the 1.3cc version or the 1.5cc version if you can find it, because the 1.5cc version is rare. Yeah, so thanks for the wonderful work that you're doing. Yeah, no problem. Okay, good morning, Arthur. I'm thinking of Ipsam, RAV4 and Honda CR-V, 6 million budget, hustler all the way. Yeah, but with 6 million, it will be Ipsam or Honda at the moment. If you're going to be buying in town here, it will either be Honda CR-V or Ipsam. Yeah. The RAV4s are rare because of everybody that has a RAV4 wants to get a better car than the RAV4, and the better cars than the RAV4s are expensive, so they are not selling. But I've been telling you guys, now things are expensive. The cars are more expensive than actually what I've been telling you. I may have to do updated videos of prices. Yeah, but of course you can still get in the price range that I told you, but the quality of the car might not be as good as I anticipated because of the price changes. You get? Yeah, the prices have changed because every other, and they're not going to go down anytime soon. You get? Why? Because every year we are going to be importing newer cars. You get? So we need to understand that. Of course, but there are cars I still don't recommend you to buy. I don't recommend you buying a Raum old model. Okay, I leave it to, because Raum was we were talking with Solo and I was telling him, because we were looking at people, and I was asking him, like you can sell a Raum to a person, so for me, I don't even check Raums out, and for me it doesn't really matter what budget it is. When you go to a higher budget, then we can get the Raum old new model. You get? So the old model, like I told you guys, when I don't think I've said it live, when I was going to buy this car, it's a UAM in Masaka, they were selling to me a Raum old model UBB at 9 million. I did not buy it. It was very affordable, but I did not buy it. It was a UBB. The reason I did not buy it, because Raum old model. Nah man, yabo. the Raum old model. It can give you pressure. And I know there are guys that will say, it's okay. It's okay. There are people that have had very successful plans. It doesn't make the procedure safe. You get it? There are people that have had successful marriages where the man has 4 women and they are all happy together. It doesn't make that kind of marriage good. You get what I'm saying? There are people that... There are so many things that people have done and it worked out for them, but it will not work out for you. The Raum relationship with me did not work out. It has not worked out with so many people. So I don't guarantee it for any of my people. You know how I be talking with my mechanic and then we leave it. You get. So what are you? There's some of the things that I think you should focus on when you're going to be buying a car. Access for me the Suzuki Swift. The Swift Arthur. To determine a right car, can you relate it to one's vocation, trade, business? Yes, that's where I'm coming now. Access for me the Suzuki Swift. Okay. Suzuki Swift, it's a good car. Suzuki's are reliable. The only trouble you're going to get with Suzuki is expensive parts. That's all. In fact, most people that give up Suzuki later on, they give up because of the price of parts, nothing more. Okay, they give up because of the parts, the prices of parts. They don't really give up because of anything that is that serious. You'll find that if I buy a shock absorber for my car at a pair at 180 or 250, you'll find that the Suzuki one will cost you 350 or 400, the original one at least. And when a mechanic tells you that, you'll definitely think he wants to steal from you. Yet normally they don't. Of course, with everything that your mechanic will actually buy for you, they will add money. That's a guaranteed. But with those cars, it will be expensive. Suzuki is just one thing you need to know is that Suzukis are very reliable. If, for example, your engine dies, okay, getting a replacement will be very expensive. For example, after me, I'm planning to replace my engine sometime to come. That's why I take city oil fuel and gasify. But when I put my new engine, I'll be very strict about which fuel I put in my car. You get. So sometime back my mechanic was telling me, but why are you doing that? And I told him, Kati, what am I saving? My engine is almost fried. So I'm already budgeting for a new engine. So what you get. Yeah, so Suzuki Swift is a good car. In fact, the new Toyota Starlet was a collaboration between Toyota and Suzuki. The engine that is in the 2020 and 2021 Toyota Starlet is a Suzuki engine. You can read about it. So Suzuki is that reliable. But the only problem is that the spares are not easy to find. And if you find they're expensive. That's, for me, I find that that's the only challenge you're going to find with Suzuki. Yeah? You can buy and enjoy. And you'll find that the Suzuki is cheaper than the Toyota in the same what? The Suzuki is cheaper than the Toyota that looks the same or in the same make, because you'll find that the Suzuki Swift and the Toyota IST are the same. But if you buy a Toyota IST at 16, you'll find you'll buy the Suzuki Swift in the same condition, same number plate, same model at around 8 or 6 to 8. It's not by accident that they are cheap. You get, maintenance is expensive, and that's why people give up on them. You get. These guys that drive one way, that's why a thumb is bigger than a pinky, but the same height chances are not. And again, nothing I know you're trying to compare stuff. Please estimate for me the price of Spacio new model or Alex Ranex. Those cars you will start from with the Spacio, you will start from about 13 depending on the number plate, the condition. But then the Alex you'll start from 15. From my knowledge, my current knowledge. But you'll find that they have changed a little. But just know at 15 you can get an Alex, and then 13 you can get a Spacio. Yeah, I don't guarantee which number plate, which condition, which take here, but you can try to call brokers that you know and you see what they have. On. So yesterday I was talking to someone as well, and I told him the reason why we as final buyers still are going to buy cars a little expensively is because when someone decides to sell their car and they need quick cash, they don't think of you because they don't know that you have the money. When someone is selling and they need quick cash, they'll think of a broker first, and they'll go to Pine, and they'll go to Bakuli, because those guys always have money there waiting to buy cars. And that's why you find that he will buy that Alteza. You see the UBA, he'll probably buy it at let's say 8 and sell it at 13 or 14. You get, that's what happens. He's buying a good Toyota Harrier model 2000, a reliable car. Yeah, Harriers are very reliable. All Harriers are reliable. Of course, the newer model would be better resale value wise, even fuel consumption wise, even with comfort. But Harriers, definitely, I'll tell you that most Toyotas have no problem. There are Toyotas, of course, that I've told you Togura Toyota and Togura Toyota and Togura Toyota. But generally, Toyotas are reliable. But there are, of course, Toyotas that you should. There are Toyotas that you should stay away from. Simu will be just stay away from them. Stay away from the Toyota morning Raymond. And of course, some of these cars you're not going to stay away from them because they are bad. You're going to stay away from them because they are overpriced and not worth it. Me, sometimes we go to a car, I tell my person, Tojigura, because it's overpriced, it's not worth the price. Yes, it's good, but it's not worth the price. But there are cars we go to that car is bugging. Like yesterday we went and saw a Mark II Grand. The Mark II Grand, I think it's a 2002 model, 2002 or 2003 model, and it was too good, and it was priced at 9 million. Now, go to any bond around Kampala or find any trader and they'll be selling it 12 and they'll not be bargaining. But here we were getting it at 9. But our budget wasn't 9. So my person who was buying was excited about the car, and I told him, you're not buying that car today because it's not in our budget. Yes, it's very good. I told him, I agree with you. It's very good. Very, very good. But I'm not allowing you to buy this car today because it's out of our budget. Okay? And you need to go home, think about it tonight. And by tomorrow morning, if you still want this car, if you still want to buy it at that budget, you can come and we buy it. But today, even if you decide to buy it against my will, I'm not signing on that agreement because that's not the budget we talked about. Okay? So he went home, and surely by 10 p.m. he had changed his mind. He said, okay, it's not within my budget. Let's go, because we had seen another car that was within our budget. He said, okay, I think I'm going to buy the car that is within my budget. Of course, I reasoned with him and I told him why buying a car within his budget was very important. And he also reasoned because he's a very sharp guy. I'm an H2, he knows what is right for him. But then he still wanted the car. He said, let me call you when I get home. So he went home, thought about it, talked to his inner person, and I think, yeah. But of course, he has not bought the other car, so he might still come today and say, okay, let's buy the other expensive car, because it was very good. It was a good offer. Find it with a trader that has capital, a good sufficient, because the reason sometimes why you get cars at a bargain is because the person you're buying it from doesn't have a lot of money, and whenever he gets an offer like 500,000 or 1 million, he will sell the car to you. And that's what was happening with this Mark II Grand owner. You get it? But that Mark II Grand, he could easily sell it at 10 million. You get it? He could even sell it at 11. But now we were giving him an offer You get, and I think he needed the money. Although it was too good an offer, we had the budget that we were set. So that's why I'm saying that it's important that before you buy, you look at what is important to you. Is it very important that before you buy a car, you stick to your budget? Because if it's important to stick to your budget, then sometimes it's important to always remind yourself that, okay, Arthur, this is your budget. Arthur, this is your budget. You need to have someone within you talking to you all the time. Arthur, this is your budget, and this is why you don't need to buy that new car. This is why you don't need to buy that expensive car. This is why you can always remind yourself of the reasons. That's how focused people can actually be. Which take that's me personally. A car is to take me from point A to B. So if I find a car that can take me from point A to B, even if it's not comfortable, I will buy it. I will buy it, and then I'll think of comfort later. Because comfort is not the most important thing to me. Of course, it's good to have a comfortable car. Maybe say the comfort will not work out. Even if you can actually, the funny thing with cars is that sometimes you buy a car and it's really comfortable, but I'll tell you that the comfort that you feel when you buy a car the very first time will not be the comfort you feel when you drive it for 3 weeks. Because when you drive the car for 3 weeks, you'll get used to it. It's like almost everything that you buy when it's new. You get it, and a month it becomes ordinary. So we need to understand that, and then probably that will help us. Keep focused. So what is important to you? What should be important to you? Because as a business person, if you're a business person in Uganda and you have a small business, it's important that you always have money on you. Because probably you'll get a customer that has let's talk about people that trade. Maybe you get a customer that gives you a very big order, and you need more money. So you've just bought a car at 20 million, and you get a customer that gives you a big order. Now million is settled, but you need an extra 10 million. You need an extra 10 million to buy what he needs. So instead of going to the bank to get a loan, buy a car that is cheap, keep 10 million on you so that you can process whatever order that you get. That's how I think. I don't know how other people think. You get, and that's how I keep always going back to old cars, because I've not yet grown the muscle to have a lot of capital on me. And until I've grown that muscle where I can have like a 20 on my account at all times, I'm not going to be buying those very expensive cars. I'll stick within my budget. So normally I tell people, is budget important to you, and what's your maximum budget? Because normally when someone calls me and they say, I want to buy this car, and I say, what's your roof price? What's your roof price? And then they tell me what their roof price is. You get, yeah. So let's try to remember what's always important. If you're a Ugandan, Tori Musama, because for you guys Abasama, actually car sellers are waiting for you because they are going to rip you off. Bagameno season ya Basama, because Basamas, normally when Basama come, they care about comfort. You get, they care about comfort, they care about how the car looks. There's nothing as important as that to them. And then that's why they end up selling those cars very cheaply in January or February when they are going back to wherever they work. You get, because tebafa yonyo babura buguzi. So, but if you focus on what is important as you buy, then even when you're selling as you're going back, you will sell a good price. You get. So is buying a Kruger 13 million a good deal? Seller is complaining of fuel consumption. Don't always take the word for the sellers. Seller will tell you I'm fuel consumption, but 13 million for a Kruger, depending on the condition and number plate, it seems to be a good deal. So just make sure you inspect it, but it seems to be a good deal. And then someone is asking, or team is asking, RAV4 versus Alteza, which is on the overall better by all factors considered? Like I've said, John, it depends on what is important to you. You get it? I'll tell you that the RAV4 is better. But then if depending on what you do, which job you do, the Alteza might be better. Let me tell you one thing. If you're a corporate individual, and you work with guys that are driving like nice cars, Harrier, they are driving Spacio, they are driving Fielders, you get, then you buying a Corolla Chikumi, the old model, is not good for you. Because however much you like that car, your colleagues at work will talk and talk and talk, and you'll hate that car. So then I'll tell you, yes, this Chikumi is good, but you're not going to like it. You will not drive it for some time, because people will keep talking about it, and then it will ejakutama. So if you're a corporate individual, you need to look at, in my circles, which cars are people driving. Yes, I know they will tell, I've been telling you, but you need to understand that yes, buy within a budget, but buy a car that speaks for your profession. You get, Zach, I have no idea, but it might be about 100 and something million. That's from the price I knew like 2 months ago. It might be 100 and something million Harrier 2000, because the Harrier 2009 model is about 70 million. So if 2007 is 70 million, so you have to double that, because 2014 is like 7 years later. You get it? So so you need to understand, like me, what is important for me is that my car doesn't break down, that my car speaks for my position, that people are not going to say, director, chichecho chovuga. But of course, sometimes for me, that doesn't really matter what people say. Because if I direct a movie, I'm the director. It doesn't matter. If you're my employee, you're my employee. You get? So for me, sometimes how the car looks, sometimes it's not really important. The reason why it started being important is because sometimes you're called for meetings, and you imagine that if the person that is going to give you the job said, I forgot my car, or I have to go pick my car somewhere, and that's the only reason I actually care what car I drive. But the rest of the things I don't care, because I'm imagining if I went to a meeting, for example, at Stanbic, and I'm going to see the procurement officer who drives the Harrier Kawondo, and he left the Kawondo at a washing bay, and as I'm going out, he says, oh, Arthur, which direction are you headed? And I tell him I'm headed to Wande, and he says, oh, thank you, I left my car in Mulago, can you help me take me there? And then I'm driving a Chikumi, the old model. You get, eh? And then he's giving me a job of 100 million, sitting in my Chikumi of 1996. He will definitely rethink his decision of giving me 100 million. You get? So that's how I'll drive a Corolla of 2001, and I'll make sure I wash it every day to make sure that, okay, in case tomorrow this guy says, okay, I'll not feel ashamed. You get? Eh? So for me, that speaks for me. I don't know what your profession speaks for. If you're a farmer, that's why I was telling our farmer friend yesterday that if you're a farmer, I find that buying a pickup would actually be better for you, because you're going to be delivering eggs, you're going to be delivering I have no idea, Morris. I can't tell you that because I don't know. And forget about the car looks good, because looking good can be done by anyone. It doesn't even take a week for a car to look good. You get it? It doesn't. I'm going to go to the village and bring my car that I'm going to sell to you guys. Looking good is the easiest thing for people to do. So Kakati, don't focus on looking good. You need to know which number plate. You need to know because there are so many other things that you need to consider before you think. And the fact that you're asking me how much should it be, it means they have already told you a price. You also have a price in your mind, but then you're asking me. It's a very blind thing. Fuel is, and reliability is what I'm looking at. So if you're looking at reliability and all those things, I'm thinking, of course, the Alteza, if you buy the Alteza that has a BIMS 2000 engine, it consumes better. It's better fuel-wise than a RAV4. Okay, but the RAV4 will live long after the Alteza is done. So if you're looking to buy a car that you're going to drive for a very long time, and also of course use it for other businesses like carrying stuff, the RAV4 works better. And also if you live far from town, you'll find that the RAV4 might be better. If you're also looking at the resale value, the RAV4 might be better depending on which number plate, which condition. But if you're the kind of person that drives Mutauni Wano and Tojiti Kanyo and the Alteza is also good, because most of those cars, the fuel is almost the same. The Alteza just has a VVTi engine if it's beams. Don't buy the Alteza that has a Yamaha engine. So if it's beams 2000 is VVTi, so definitely the fuel wise it will be better than the RAV4. Both cars are definitely reliable. Nayenga, if you're going to drive your car for like 10 years, I'll definitely recommend that you buy a RAV4. Also, if you're buying it old, if you're going to the bond, the Alteza is still okay, and it will be better priced than the RAV4. The RAV4 might be a better decision, depending on the price and condition. I think I've definitely talked to you. So depending on what you're looking at, both cars might work, but also around town you can buy the Alteza, because the Alteza will definitely be cheaper than the RAV4. That's one thing you need to know. It's cheaper than the RAV4, but even reselling, the Alteza will sell at a lower price than the RAV4. Yeah. So what is important to you, I've told you, you need to consider your profession. Too much you considering, because I also need you to know that even if you say that I'm buying this car, I'm going to drive it for 1 year, you may end up driving it for 3 years. So will you be comfortable driving that car for 3 years? If you won't be comfortable driving that car for 3 years, reconsider that decision. Also, if you're employed, for example, if you got a promotion next month, will you struggle trying to look for a car that fits your position or not? You get it? So if you have chances of getting promoted next month, buy a car that will still fit in a position that you have chances of being promoted to. Don't just buy. You get it? So I was telling this to one of my followers that, okay, at your workplace, if you got promoted, let's say in 6 months, I don't want you to struggle trying to find a car that fits the position. Let's buy this car because it still sticks to your position. You get it? So normally I consider also those things. That's why I ask people, what job do you do? So that we look at cars that can fit in that job line. Because with farmers, nobody cares what car you drive. You get? Because most farmers don't even have cars. But also with farmers, do you really need a car? Because sometimes you may think your farm is very big, so you also need to think about that. So basically, I think I've covered almost, and we've covered this together. We have discussed what needs to be important to you. Some of the things that you should not be focusing so much on are the tires, because don't ever think that the car has new tires. Sometimes someone will put new tires on the car and they're expired. You're going to drive them for 2 months and the trade is over. So always when you're buying a car, I want you to imagine that you're going to buy tires for yourself. All 4 tires for yourself. Also, when you go to buy a car, open the boot and make sure that it has a spare tire, it has a jack, and it has that thing that is used to raise the jack. Always make sure, if those things are not there, make sure you deduct the money. Because the spare tire is not going to be cheap for you. The jack is about 50,000. Those 2 things that we also use to jack the car up are also like 10. So it means the jack system alone will cost you 70,000. So you imagine the spare tire will cost you about 100,000. So cut 100, you deduct 170 from that person, or tell him to give you a spare tire, jack, and the things that, and make sure the jack actually works, because there are some very old, very, very bad jacks that will not work very well for you. So you need to consider also that. So guys, I think I have to go. I have to go and do some work around this place. Let's see each other tomorrow, probably in the evening, or if we don't catch up in the evening, in the evenings on Saturdays and Sundays, I normally have those lives at 4. But if I get too busy and I'm unable to do that, because I'm preparing for the workshop next week, so if I get too busy and I can't, but most definitely I'll be here at 4 tomorrow, because I'll be driving. Looking at the activities I'll be doing tomorrow, at 4 I'll be driving, so I'll definitely be here. And then also Sunday I may be here at 4 p.m. But if we don't, on Monday we are starting our broadcasts on land and houses. Have a very nice day, guys. Thank you very much for being here. Let me just go through the names. Let me just go through the names here. JK, Martha, Patrick, Seth, Chisule Henry, Ivan, Simon, Kenneth, Joseph Kelly, Juko Nathan, Firstborn, Rich, Rookie Joseph, yeah, Morris Edmund Agaba, Kasuja James Raymond, Otim, Zach. Yeah, thank you very much, guys, for being here. It really means a lot that I don't do a live and I'm here alone. Yeah, don't do what I wouldn't do, and make the right decisions, guys. For those that are going to buy cars over the weekend, make the right decisions. For those that are going to eat the money wisely. Ciao.